Hello, everyone. Today we're going to discuss the solution for the best time to buy and sell a stock. And this is a classic Leet code problem. Here, very similar to our previous problems, we're going to use kind of a left and right pointer. Once again, those aren't references to C++ pointers, which are which store memory addresses, but these are essentially indices that we're going to keep track of. But let's see what this problem is all about. As a bit of a side note, I know that stocks probably isn't the best topic just because the stock market the past year and a half or so has been, in decline. So maybe that's a sensitive topic for people, but I thought it was kind of an interesting problem. I'm a huge fan of the stock market, looking up 10Qs, 10Ks, and so forth. So that's why I kind of chose to do this fun problem. Also apologize because I had a really bad stomach flu last night, so not feeling too well. I'm slowly recovering, but well, thank you for your patience. So let's get to the problem. So you're given an array of prices. So I'm given a list of prices. So in this case, they're going to be integer values, where each element of our list is the price of a given stock on that index day. So for example, on day 0, I would have this stock. That stock would be $7 on index. You could think of it as day 1 or day index 1. That would be $1 for the stock price. The next day would be $5, $3, $6, $4. Now, what we want to do is we want to maximize our profit by, number 1, choosing a single day to buy our stock. So we want to buy the stock first, and then we want to choose a different day in the future. It's very important we keep it in that order, but we sell it in a different day in the future. And from that, we're going to ideally get some profit. So it's very important that you first have to buy the stock, right? So you first buy the stock and then you go ahead and sell it sometime in the future. You can't reverse that order. It wouldn't make sense, right? You can't go ahead and sell a stock and then later buy it. Technically, you can short it. So actually, I kind of misspoke there, but we're assuming you're just working with regular shares, right? Just buying shares and then selling them. So forget about shorting in this instance. We want to return the maximum profit you can achieve. And then if you cannot achieve any profit, so if let's say, every time you try to buy it and you try to sell it at a later date, like you would lose money because you would have to buy it at a higher price and then sell it at a lower price. So then we just wouldn't perform a transaction and we would have to return 0. So whenever there's no profit to be made, we're just going to return the default 0. So you could think of this test case right here where we would have no transactions, just because if I buy it on the first day, and it's $7, and I try to sell it on any day in the future, I'm not going to make any profit. And it doesn't matter what day I buy it on. If I try to sell it on a future date, because this is in decreasing order, I'm never going to make any profit. So that's why this max profit is set to 0. Now, you can see here that if I were to buy it on this day where it's $1 for the stock, and then I sell it for $6, I would get a max profit of $5. Once again, you have to buy it earlier in the list and then sell it at a later date. And so in order to kind of best capture how to perform this problem, we're going to look at a few scenarios. So these hopefully are going to help you understand the different scenarios that exist. And but before we do go through these scenarios, I just want to go through some kind of rules on how to solve this problem. So the first thing is that the buy date comes first. So we first have to buy the stock, and then the sell date must be after. So typically the way we're going to start it is we're going to say we'll buy it the first day and then we'll sell it the second day. So that's how we're always going to start our problem. So we'll buy it the first day, sell it the second day. So that's kind of rules of thumb at the moment. The other thing is, and then we'll iterate and we'll kind of change those values because of course I'm losing money here. So we'll talk about that in just a sec. The next rule is that the initial max profit is 0. Right, so we assume that the max profit is 0, and only if we get a profit do we update that value. Next up is we want to consider while our sell price is within the list. So our sell price is going to start towards the beginning. Technically, it's not going to be the first one. We're going to set it equals to the second value. And then we're going to continue iterating until we get to the end of the list, right? So our sell price must move forward for each transaction. And that's because we're always looking for a higher sell price. We're always looking for a higher value to sell our stock for. So our sell price is always going to be moving forward. It's going to be the basis of the condition for which we keep iterating. Now let's go to rule 2. For rule 2, if we operate at a loss, so that means if our buy price is higher than our sell price, such as in these cases, what we do is we know that we found a new minimum, such as in this case. So if I buy at 7 and sell at 6, I know that I'm operating at a loss. So then this 6 is my new minimum. And then if I buy at 6 and sell at 4, I'm operating at a loss. So then the 4 would be our new minimum and so forth. So if we do find a new minimum, we want to move our buy price to the new minimum location. And we want to have our sell price be the day after. So once again, that's our default. So our buy price is going to be 7 and then our sell price is 6. But since this is a loss, what we're going to do is we're going to move our buy price to the new minimum and then the sell price to the next day. And we'll kind of keep going in that pattern. All right, so what's the next loss, or what's the next condition? So this is if we operate at a loss. What if we don't get a gain or a loss? So what if our buy price is the same as our sell price? Well, there's no new minimum, so we don't want to move our buy price, right? The buy price, if I move it, it's still the same price, so I don't really want to make a change. It's only the sell price that we want to move. You move it to the next day, hopefully to get a higher value and then to get more of a profit. And if we operate at a profit, so if our buy price is less than our sell price, so we do make some money when we sell that stock, what we want to do is we calculate that current profit and we potentially update the max profit. So only if the current profit is greater than our max, then will we update it, right? And then once that's done, we're going to go ahead and move the sell price again forward to the day after, hopefully to get a higher value and sell for more, get a higher current profit, and then update our max profit. So that's kind of the pattern. It'll make more sense once we go through these scenarios. I just want you to feel comfortable with that. If it still doesn't make sense once we go through these scenarios, I definitely recommend reviewing this section of the video just to really understand what's going on here. Just because once you understand the algorithm, it becomes very straightforward. If not, then it can seem very, very confusing and nearly impossible to perform. Okay, so here we have our conditions, or here we have our list of values. So notice for all days, all 5 days, the stock value is $5. We're going to always start our left pointer, or essentially our buy price at the first value, and our right pointer is going to be one after our buy price. So our sell price is going to be the second day, essentially. So buy it on the first day, sell it on the second day. Is a simpler way to say that. I don't know why I didn't say that earlier. So what rule does this operate under? This operates under here. So if we have neither a gain nor a loss, so since all we're going to do is we're going to move our right pointer over. And once again, we're going to look at our left and right. So since these are the same value, we're going to move our right pointer over. Since these are once again the same value, we're going to move our right pointer over. And once we do this comparison, we see that they're the same value. So we're pretty much done here. We never got a profit. So our max profit stayed the same, right? So our default max profit never really was touched. What if we were in a descending case, right? Where the price of our stock descended over time. So once again, our buy price is day 1 and our sell price is day 2. So here, notice we operate at a loss. We operate at a loss. So what we're going to do is essentially we found a new minimum. So we want to set our buy price to the new minimum. And we also want to move the sell price one day afterwards. So notice if I just kind of space them, the nice thing about this, the way it's set up is technically I'm moving both of them forward, right? So I'm moving the left pointer over, or buy price over to the right place. And then I'm also moving the sell date one day ahead of it. So that's pretty good. And then once again, in this case, I'm selling at a loss. So I'm going to go ahead and shift them forward. And then I'm selling at a loss. I'm going to go ahead and shift them forward. I'm selling at a loss. I'm going to go ahead and shift them forward. Notice at this point, my right is not within the list. My sell date is not within the list. So it's complete. And I never made any transactions. So, or I never had a chance to make a profit. So it's still the default value. That's it. Let's look at the next condition where we have increasing values. So once again, I buy it on the first day. I sell it on the second day. What's the profit between these two? Well, if I buy it for $1 and sell it for $2, that means I have a profit of 1. Now, here's current profit equals 1. So is that greater than my max profit? Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and update that. That looks good. So I haven't found a new minimum, right? That would be this scenario if I operate at a loss. If I operate at a profit, I'm going to go ahead and calculate the current profit like we did. And then if it beats my max profit, then I'll update it, which we did. The last part is we're going to move the sell price the day after, hopefully to get a higher price to sell it for. So notice I'm going to be able to sell it for 3 and I bought it for 1. What's that current profit? That's 2. That beats my max profit. So we're going to update that. If I'm going to shift it over my sell date to the right. In this case, 4 minus 1 is 3. And then so my max profit's going to be updated. Then we're going to go ahead and shift it to the right. We see that 5 minus 1 is 4. And that beats my current, my current profit beats my max profit. So we're going to go ahead and update that to 4. And so just like this, we could see that we were able to calculate the max profit. This next part gets a little bit trickier because here we're going to see a different number of combinations come to life. So once again, we buy it on the first day, sell it on the second day. We're operating at a loss. So we're going to move the left pointer to wherever the right pointer is. Here we're operating at a profit. So notice the current profit is equal to 4. Okay, that looks good. So what we're going to do is we're going to update our max profit since it beats 0. And then we're going to move our sell date 1 day forward. So now what's our current profit? It's 2 in this case, because 3 minus 1 is 2. But notice it doesn't beat out our max profit. So that's all we do there. Let's move it 1 day to the right. Hopefully for more money, we can sell it. So 6 minus 1, that's going to be $5. And what we're going to do is we're going to update our max profit because 5 beats 4. Next up, we're going to move it to the right. Here we can see that we're still making a profit of $3, but it's not going to update. It doesn't beat out our max profit. And then here I'm going to move it to the right. And notice we operate at a loss now. If I buy it at $1 and sell it for 0, operate at a loss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the left pointer. I'm going to move the left pointer here. And then I'm going to push the right pointer one after it. And so this is in the hope that since I found a new minimum, I might be able to find another greater value. So since I found a new minimum and I'm able to buy lower, there might be some numbers after where I'm able to get a higher profit. That's essentially the crux of this logic. The thing is, I ran out of numbers, so there's really no more future numbers or future stock prices. So that's it. So this gets a maximum profit of 5. Now let's extend this to where I do have additional numbers. So let's continue. So I buy it on the first day, sell it on the second day. I'm going to go ahead and operate at a loss. So I'm going to move the left pointer to the minimum, and then I'm going to sell it the day after. So in this case, there is a current profit of 4. And here, this updates our max profit. I'm going to move this to the right. Our current profit is 2. And that does not beat our current, our max profit. I'm going to move it to the right again. That's going to be a current profit of 5. And that does beat our max profit. I'm going to move it to the right once more. This is going to be a value of 3. That doesn't beat our max profit. I'm going to move it to the right. And since this is operating at a loss, we're going to move the left pointer where the right is. We're going to move the left pointer right here. And we're going to move the right pointer right there. Now, here I do operate at a profit. No, so now that we have this, we have some more values, and we can go ahead and start seeing if we operate at a profit. In this case, I do operate at a profit. I make $2, but that doesn't beat my max profit. So I'm going to go ahead and move the sell date to in advance 1 day. Here I do make another profit of $3, but that doesn't beat my max profit. And then here, if I move it once again to the right, I have a current profit of $9. So that does beat my max profit. So now we've seen all the instances where these kind of rules apply. I kind of find these use cases to be a bit more beneficial than kind of these 2 use cases alone that were provided. So I hope that logic makes sense. If you have any questions about this logic, I strongly recommend going through these rules once more and then going through these test cases. I know it kind of took some time to cover the different test cases, but it's very important to understand how the logic is applied. Otherwise, it's just very difficult to solve. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our left pointer, which is going to be our buy index essentially. And we're going to set up our right pointer, which is always 1 day after. So I could choose to say left pointer plus 1, or I could just write 1. I'm just going to go ahead and say left pointer plus 1 just to denote that it's always 1 day after. The next thing is, by default, our max profit is going to be set to 0. And we know that our current profit is a variable that we want to keep track of later. Now, when do we want to continue iterating? We want to continue iterating while our right pointer is within the scope of the list of values, right? So while it's less than the size of our our list of stock prices. So while it's within the list of our sell dates, then we'll continue iterating. Now within here, what I'm going to do just for kind of readability is I'm going to go ahead and set up the left value. So right now we just have indices or pointers. I want to go ahead and evaluate what those values are. So we know that the left pointer is really just prices at the index left pointer. So this is, in another way of saying, this is our buy date or buy price. And then here we're going to have our right value, which is going to be our, sorry, there we go, right pointer. This is going to be our sell price. So left is our buy, right is our sell. Okay, so this is just for readability purposes. Now we're going to go through our three conditions. If we operate at a loss, if we operate at neither a gain or loss, or if we operate at a profit. So let's go ahead and start off with if we operate at a loss. If we operate at a loss, so that means that the left value is greater than our right value. Our buy price is greater than our sell price. So if we operate at a loss, that means we found a new minimum. So what we want to do at that point is we want to move our left pointer to our right pointer location. So we want to set the left pointer to the location of the new minimum value. There we go. The other thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and move our right pointer one place over, because we never want them to be the same day. We always want the sell date to be one after. So our right pointer is going to get incremented. Now, what happens if we have matching value? So if we have no profit, no loss. So if the left value is equal to the right value, what we're going to do is if there are matching values, right? Matching values. So we have no profit. Then what we want to do is we want to move our sell date forward in the future. So hopefully we get a higher sell price and we'll get a profit. So we're just going to move the right pointer someplace forward in time. And if we operate at a profit, so if our left value is less than our right value, so we operate at a profit, operates at a profit, we potentially update the profit, only if it beats our max profit, of course. And we want to check the next sell value. So we want to move our sell value one day in the future. So let's go ahead and do that. So we know that our current profit will be equal to our sell date, which is our right value, minus our buy date, which is our buy price, which is the left value. So that's going to be our current profit. And only if our current profit beats out our max profit will we go ahead and update our max profit. And we'll go ahead and comment this out. If our current profit beats out the max, update the max. All right. Then the next thing is we also want to move our sell date in the future, just because we want to check, go to the next sell date, move it one day in the future to hopefully get, once again, a higher sell price, and then make more of a profit. But notice in this case, actually, there's one last thing to do. So while this is iterating, those are the three possible conditions. Once it's done, our max profit is going to have the value. So our max profit is assigned the actual max profit at this point. So all we need to do is we want to return that max profit. There is some refactoring that we could choose to do. Actually, let me just run it just to make sure that I didn't put any syntax errors in here. Okay, perfect. There is some refactoring that we can perform, and notice that for all three conditions, we always move our right pointer to the right. So one thing we can do is we could just take this out of the scope of the if statements, and we can just entirely get rid of this. Let's see, actually, yeah, we can entirely get rid of this just because if it doesn't fall into any of these cases, then it's going to fall into this case. And we're just going to go ahead and increment right here at the end of the loop. So that works as well. So that's just a little bit of a refactor that we can perform. But other than that, that's the solution. That's how we find the best time to buy a stock and then sell a stock sometime in the future. I hope that this made sense. A lot of this problem isn't necessarily the complexity, but just kind of the thought process of or the restrictions that we have on buying in the past and then selling in the future. But I hope that made sense. Please comment below, see if you kind of were able to understand the problem, or if you had a good time kind of solving it. I really appreciate you watching. I would also appreciate if you could like, share, subscribe for more content on programming solutions. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.